Hello, my fellow horse lovers. Hey, it's Wednesday in the arena with Dr. Pamela. Come on in. I am super fired up about what I'm going to talk about today. And for those of you who don't know me, I'm Pamela Maynard, and I teach heart-centered horse owners, passionate horsewomen, and holistic equine body workers and practitioners, holistic care and confidence for better connection with horses. And today I want to talk about something that very few people in the horse industry are talking about. And I know it's a tough thing because we don't want to say it out loud, but our horses are sick. They're sick and they're sore and they're emotionally shut down, and no one is addressing the emotional root of it. I see it all the time. I see lamenesses that, nobody can find out why. Ulcers are at an all-time high. I think something like over 65% of the horse population has ulcers. I'm seeing more and more kissing spine, which is, the EPM, and then we have all the behavioral issues. I have people tell me all the time, oh, my horse is anxious and reactive and grumpy. And what do we do about it? Well, we do what we know. We call the vet, right? We give them some bute, we give them some omeprazole, and we throw more horse training at them, right? But here's the truth. The truth is you can't medicate away a nervous system that is stuck in flight, fight, or freeze. You can't. And here's another layer to that. You can't heal a nervous system from flight, fight, or freeze when it's medicated all the time. It doesn't work, right? And you can't fix pain without feeling it. And something that I was taught in my holistic trainings is pain is light returning to the body. Pain is the body communicating, right? And so instead of just masking the pain, why aren't we doing anything about it? I feel like when these horses have all these physical symptoms, they're just screaming for help, right? But they can't scream when we throw more training at them and shut them down even more. They can't scream and get help if we're just numbing the pain with drugs. So I want to ask you, what if the horse's physical symptoms of pain, anxiety, ulcers, you name it, fill in the blank, right? What if they're actually the horse sending a message, right? How does that feel to you? To think of it as just a message, like it's maybe a little whisper that we've kind of been ignoring because we're like, we're going to do this and maybe it'll go away. And it does go away sometimes for a while. But what if it's just the horse communicating? So today, I want to talk about this sacred link between emotional stress and the horse's physical well-being, right? And what horses are showing us about this. And I want to use, I don't know if anybody of you have heard of Dr. Gabor Mate. He is a human medical physician, but he wrote a really great book many years ago called When the Body Says No. Okay? And I'm hearing this all the time. Honor your horse's no. Is your horse saying no? Honor the no. Honor the no. What does that mean? Right? And so I thought it'd be really great to give some insight and some science with Dr. Mate and the parallel of his research with human bodies and with the horses' bodies. And Dr. Gabor Mate, he explored how repressed emotions, chronic illness, and unhealed trauma don't just weigh on our minds, right? They actually create real medical issues. And his research proves this, right? He talks about that, sometimes illness is the language that the body uses to talk to us, right? And I talk about all the time, all the interconnectedness, the interconnectedness between us and our horses, and also the interconnectedness with the mind and the body, right? And horses, they never separate emotion from their physicality. They just don't, right? And a horse doesn't just push through trauma. They somatically process it, just like a human would need to somatically process it. They process it through the proper movement, the ability to be able to do the deep breaths and releases, which they're not doing if they're living in their trapped emotions, right? And they also are able to process this through herd connection. And when I say herd connection, I mean a herd that they feel safe and secure in, not just throwing them out in a big group of geldings in the turnout every day, right? They need to have that connection with a herd. And we can learn from these human pieces of this about the repressed emotions, that these horses have, aren't necessarily a bad thing, but we need to start listening to them. And we don't, in the human world, they'll say repressed emotions, but we as horse people always talk about, oh, my horse is emotionally shut down, that horse is emotionally shut down, right? But the reality is they're just stuck. Their traumas are stuck and they're in just complete survival mode. I say a lot of people just talk, oh, that horse is just introverted. Well, introverted horses still have stuff going on. They're just nobody's helping them process them, right? So, like I said, the big thing lately is like honoring your horses now. And horses are also saying yes, right? And I want to know, do you even know when your horse is saying yes? Sometimes the yes can be really subtle things. But if the horse is saying no, I want you to take this to another level, okay? And instead of I see it a lot of times when we're working them in the round pens or even some riding and stuff, we'll talk about oh, it's no, so back off. But I want you to take this a step further and ask yourself, why is this horse saying no? Why? What's going on with your horse that he doesn't want to do this, that he doesn't want to engage with this? And then I want you to take it another step further and ask, is the horse saying no to what I'm asking? Or is the horse reflecting something in me? Because we know these animals reflect our emotions, right? And the next part of this that Dr. Gabor Mate talks about all the time is how our early childhood actually shapes our physical biology. And this is the same for horses, right? Their early years in life, their unhealed traumas, things like weaning early, weaning in a stressful situation, being forced to live in a herd or a group turnout that's stressful for them. Or, even when we start teaching a horse to tie and sometimes they pull back, that can all lead to trauma stuck in their head and their neck. And people just oh, that's normal. It's normal for a horse to pull back. But all of these things contribute to wiring the nervous system and the body to live in this chronic stress mode. Even years and decades later, I've seen this in a lot of horses. And so, Dr. Mate talks about this, what happens to us emotionally in our early years echoes the biology later on. And this is no different with horses. So a spooky horse, might have learned their fear from a past handler, right? And they just, that's what they know. It's a learned thing. And so we walk around and say, well, that's just a spooky horse, right? But we don't ever take the time to go to another layer deeper, right? And so one of the things that I like to teach is doing a body scan. And I know I don't do it with just the horses. I do it with the humans. Before I enter the horse space, I do a body scan with me, and then I do a body scan with the horses. And that can give us a lot of biofeedback and tell us what's going on with the horse. Because here's the thing. Stress is not just a feeling or, something that, oh, I'm stressed today and it'll pass. It's an actual physiological state. So if your horse's body is in constant, fight, flight, fright mode, it can physically weaken the immune system. It raises inflammation. Inflammation causes so many issues. That's a whole nother topic in and of itself. And when you have that chronic stress that's weakening the immune system and causing chronic inflammation, that's when we end up having all these other issues, arthritis, allergies. It can even affect the organs, and we just don't even know what's going on. And all of a sudden your horse has this weird thing and you're just like, well, this stuff happens and shortens your horse's lifespan, and we're just like, that's the way it is. But there's all this underlying stuff going on that we can't see. It's on the emotional level, it's on the cellular level, and we can't see it. And guess what? There's not a diagnosis, there's not a test, there's not a physical machine that can measure your horse's stress level, right? So I want you to start paying attention to this. It's one of the first things I teach my coaching clients is start becoming more aware of the obvious. Start writing little things down, things that you don't even think of all the time, or you just blow it off. But these are patterns. They could be patterns of stress, and I find that we end up normalizing them. So start paying attention to little things like, why does my horse do this all the time in this certain place when I'm walking him, right? And there's little triggers that happen and we don't even know it. And so this is a great way to start to peel off those layers, right? And the other thing that I touched on, and Dr. Mate talks about it too from his research, is that these autoimmune disorders, these chronic illnesses, they reflect this internal conflict, this emotional unresolved, right? So if it can happen in humans, why is this not happening in horses? Well, it is. For example, don't you know of any horses or heard of any or have owned any that have had really bad allergies, or they react to the bugs more in the summer, more than other horses do? They get the sweet itch, and it's like, have you ever asked, well, why is this horse getting sweet itch and this horse isn't, right? And I want you to think about that. It goes way back, probably for a lot of us before we even ever had the horse, right? We didn't do this to the horse. This happened with a previous owner, a previous trainer. And here's the thing, a lot of times we send horses out for training, or they're in boarding facilities and things happen and we don't even know, right? So I want you to think about, horses when they're anxious or reactive, and I hear oh, this horse he's just grumpy, or he doesn't like to be brushed, or he doesn't like massage, or he just doesn't like it. Well, ask yourself, why? Why doesn't he like it? What is going on that is causing these issues? Because I find that we normalize it way too much. We normalize the spooking and the bucking and the kicking, and yes, to some degree, it might be normal, but pay attention. Is it happening only at certain times? Is it only happening around certain people or certain horses? So many variables go into this. So let's think about this. These issues, these physical issues that are going on with the horses, maybe they could be a wake-up call, right? Whether it's your horse just acting up, or even sometimes a little bit low energy, right? And we're like, oh, well, let's just give him a vitamin B shot, or the anxious horses, well, let's just give them some magnesium. Well, that's not getting to the underlying issues, and which really it always comes back to imbalances. They're imbalanced physically, mentally, spiritually, emotionally, energetically. They're imbalanced, right? And so something that Dr. Mate suggests is that these physical issues, illnesses, chronic things, allergies, all this stuff, it's a message. It's a message that something has to change. And here's the thing, it's a message that we can make changes, right? It's not always a one size fits all. And I'm not here to like bash the vets. We all need our veterinarians, right? If we're having a colic at 10 o'clock at night, you need to call the vet. If we need stitches or, things happen, we need our vet. But the vet isn't going to ask you, what is the unresolved emotional issues with your horse? And that's where we as owners and as practitioners need to be a little more proactive and do other things. What else can we do to support our horse emotionally, physically, mentally, spiritually, and energetically, right? What else can we do? So there you have it, folks. That is my, I'm just double checking my notes here. It's just my thing that I see all the time, and I see owners just kind of poo-pooing it sometimes when the body worker wants to come out and, do things. And we want our horses to feel good, right? We want the horse to feel good. So we think we're going to just get a massage or get a chiropractic adjustment and then go back and do exactly what we did before. And then the horse doesn't feel good. So I just want to encourage everybody to take it one step deeper. Start peeling off some of the layers beyond the horse's physical body. Start exploring their emotions. Start exploring their energy bodies, right? The horses have acupressure points all over their body, meridians. These are all things that are not being addressed in x-rays. They just aren't. It's as simple as that. They're not addressing the energetic imbalances. And also, I just want you to remember that horses are such beautiful, amazing, subtle, energetic beings, right? And they have all these little whispers to their body. And what if we could start listening to them? What if we could, instead of just honor the horse's no, what if we could honor the horse's body's messages? What would that be like for you? If you could tune into those subtleties, right? That helps your horse breathe easier and feel better and isn't as spooky and isn't grumpy about certain things. And so I want to challenge you, the next time your horse says no, take a step back and ask, why is he or she saying no? Is it because he doesn't feel good today? Is it because he isn't balanced? Or perhaps, just perhaps, maybe he's reflecting something going on with you. So there you have it, my fellow horse lovers. And until next week, enjoy your horse.